Okay, we should be live.
Okay, all right, I am dropping out then.
All right, Tom. Have a good one, brother.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Sorry about that.
Appreciate you guys taking care of this for me.
Yeah, so it's not a problem. And just check to see if we are live.
No roller coaster tonight.
No, unfortunately not for those of you tuning in. No roller coaster tonight. Let's see. Yes, we're live. Awesome. Woohoo! Yay! Yep. All right, cool. So got figured out. All right, welcome everybody to Loose Lug Nuts Podcast, episode 17. Unfortunately, our gracious host Tom cannot be here tonight. He has some other priorities for this evening, but instead you have me, aka Smolian's 4630, along with that handsome gent right over there, Zach Brandevold.
Hello.
Here to entertain you for about the next hour on always having some NASCAR news, race recaps, and bad predictions.
Yeah.
And so Zach, how are you feeling tonight, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. I got the bulk of my schoolwork out of the way, so I'm happy about that. And I think I did pretty well in one of my classes, so that's good. And then obviously in the world of racing, we had a lot of action going on this past weekend. So we're going to get into that a little bit later. And I'm just excited to get all into it with you.
All righty. Awesome. Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Got a bulk of my schoolwork out of the way too. And so I'm ready to talk about some racing.
Yeah, let's bring us into the truck and Xfinity race reviews. Whichever one you want to start first, Aaron.
Well, in traditional Lug Nuts fashion, let's start with the trucks at Talladega on October 2nd. Already, while Talladega is not a cutoff race, essentially felt like a cutoff race for several playoff drivers. But so far we saw stage one pretty organized for the most part. No caution in stage one, which is kind of always nice to see if you're trying to keep it safe and play for points. However, we saw Ben Rhodes and Matt Crafton lead early. But then Gilliland, he was kind of in mid-pack and ready to, and we're trying to make something happen. We saw him kind of make some moves and trying to get up towards the front, even though he wasn't really fighting for anything besides pride. But still, it was kind of organized, but throwing stage one where Ben Rhodes got the stage. Stage two kind of peaked up a little bit in terms of danger. We saw the first caution of the day with Brian Dowsett in number 28. I'm sorry if I butchered that name. I kind of do with everything. And so yeah, he spun around and he looked to be okay. May have gotten a little bit of help, but oh well, that's how it happens. But then it was very orderly until about 4 to go when Crafton got loose off 2, thanks to a shove by John Hunter Nemechek, which will be a trend later on in that race. But then kind of towards the end, it will be, I believe, Sheldon Creed in the number 2 truck who had a monster wreck last week at Las Vegas. He gets stage 2. But then we get into stage 3 here, and this is where everything just goes straight to hell. We got the first big one of the weekend. Numerous trucks involved with about 36 laps to go. Austin Hill got turned going into turn 3 by David Gilliland, who earlier was trying to make some moves, trying to get back up towards the front. Then just a whole mess of cars like Haley Deegan, Jennifer Jo Cobb, Clay Greenfield, Zane Smith, who needed to have a good weekend in Talladega to kind of stay in that championship hunt. He gets taken out. Todd Gilliland gets involved, but still is able to continue. And then Parker Clearman also involved in that massive pileup. But then once the track gets cleaned up, it gets cleaned up off of a red flag. Gilliland would take the lead with Enfinger in second. However, Enfinger, when he tries to make a kind of a bonsai block up top, which is very unadvised, he gets into a wreck off of Sheldon Creed, Creed, Hocevar, Deegan Greenfield, and-store freezing all get involved in that. All playoff drivers who need to just survive at Talladega in order to be in a good spot to advance. But then we saw, I guess one of the three first-time winners of the night in Nick Fogelman, coming out of nowhere to win at Talladega after he takes out John Hunter Nemechek at the end of the tri-oval to get that win, and him basically spinning across the start-finish line, and he himself having to go to the in-care center. And so congratulations to Nick Fogelman on his first win, and a very exciting win. If you excuse me for just 1 second.
So, yeah, the truck race was very interesting. It had a lot of different aspects to it. And as Aaron gets back in here, like he said, we had a first-time winner, Tate Fogelman, who I don't know very many people that knew of him before. They definitely know him now. And it was definitely an interesting one to watch. Like he said, right at the end there, Tate Fogelman wanted the win, and he wrecked John Hunter Nemechek for it, and ultimately ended up winning. Almost, I forget who finished second. Do you remember?
I not at top of my head, no. But let me check here.
Oh, it's a 52 car, I think, or maybe.
The 56 was second. I'm not sure.
56. I think it's Hill.
Give me 1 second.
Not Austin Hill.
No one Austin Hill, but let's see here.
Not Austin Hill. Who is it? 56.
But yeah, Sav, unfortunately, no setup man today. He had some other priorities that he had to attend to. But hopefully he will be here next week. We got Adam Lauer tuning in. Hey, you sexy bastards! I'm sure that's mostly towards Zach and not me. But hey, I appreciate you tuning in, brother.
Oh, give yourself some credit. Come on.
Then we got Mike Horror. I'm on my way to work. I'll trade you. I mean, yeah, I'm sure being on a podcast is gonna be a lot more fun than going to work, man. So hopefully drive safe to work. BK was not happy with JJC, pretty much an arc break situation. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, apparently wants some new brakes. Apparently needs to get some glasses too. Yeah,
she kind of Days of Thundered it through the middle, through the cloud of smoke, and she really did not work out well for her. I don't know what she was thinking. That was awful.
I don't know either.
Absolutely awful. But
but it was Tyler Hill in the 56 who got second.
Yes, Tyler Hill. Thank you. Yes, Timmy's brother, as pointed out. But, I was rooting for him. I definitely thought that he was gonna take it there, but Tate wrecked both of themselves.
Sliding to the finish. Honestly, that was probably like the best finish of the weekend, I would say.
It was definitely entertaining, for sure.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. But then the second race of the day for the Xfinity Series, same track. So far, I mean, we had Justin Haley already having to serve a penalty at the start of the race. What the penalty was, I am not completely sure. I just completely forgot. I didn't hear it. But already from the start of the race, having to go one lap down is never a good thing. But then lap 7, it looked like it was going to be pretty much just a time to kind of wear out the laps and just make sure everyone survives to the finish. But then the pack kind of gets going again, which brings out the first caution with AJ Allmendinger and Sam Mayer wrecking into turn 3. I believe the O2 car made it 4 wide into turn 3. The 8 made contact, and then AJ had nowhere to go. Two drivers had nowhere to go. and apparently they hit the wall so hard they had to make repairs to the turn 3 wall in order to make it safe. So that really shows you how fast those cars were going and how hard that impact was. But stage 1 would go to Ty Gibbs again. Already already looking to solidify the prodigy for the coming generation. Stage 2, really nothing. To be honest with you, really nothing happened. Pretty much a freight train was kind of going on with about 13 to go, but however, we did see a new face to the front, Perkins, and I believe it was Nathaniel Perkins. I believe so many new guys here. So many new guys winning and getting up front. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to find him. I'm gonna give him at least some sort of credit here. If anyone knows, go ahead and put in the comments here. I am very behind. Blaine Perkins in the 23 car, winning stage 2. And of course the big news of the day. Pretty much, Mike. Pretty much. Who the hell is Blaine Perkins?
Exactly.
Pretty much. Where the hell did he come from?
That was the story of the weekend.
Absolutely one of the feel-good stories of the weekend. Him going out and getting a stage win. Real happy for him. He would end up finishing 13th, which is not too bad. Not too bad. But then stage 3, Allgaier and Cindric are battling for the lead and pretty much be them for the most of the stage. And then Cindric's, for some reason, he started to overheat with about on lap 64. It looked to be not too much of a problem. But then kind of one of the wackiest cautions of the day, the 15 car stopped on pit road, and they bring out the caution for that. I mean, I get it's a safety issue, but really? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's okay.
That was questionable.
That was a very questionable caution there. But anyway, Noah Gragson in a huge head-on collision after Jeff Burton and Brett Moffitt made slight contact into turn 3. Again, pretty much a similar situation for as earlier in the day with the AJ Allmendinger crash. Luckily, all 3 of them are okay. But then, kind of towards the end of the race, we saw, of course, light being an issue again. Pretty much the reincarnation of New Hampshire, where light was starting to become an issue there, and of course, rain in the area, making a bit of a time crunch. But in the end, we saw the second first-time winner of the weekend, and Brandon Brown getting his first win in the number 68. So very happy for Brandon Brown to get that win. Zach, do you have any? Zach, so do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I love Brandon Brown. He's like one of my favorite underdogs, and I was really, I was really trying to root for him for the longest time, and I really thought that it was only a matter of time before he got his first win, because he's just so talented, and he seems to be right on the cusp every single time. Normally it's a top 10 as a win for them, but he's been getting the results more recently, and now he finally breaks through with the win. And I can't imagine what that's going to do for the team, and as far as sponsorship as well. It's just great to see, wonderful to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And to answer Adam's question, yes, Tom is indeed out tonight. He has some other things to attend to, kind of more important than the podcast, which we understand. But hopefully he will be here next week. So we are really looking forward to having him back.
Yes, we will.
And so, all right, with the two exciting races out of the way, we get into the main event, which Zach will cover. So Zach, take us away.
The Cup race was boring. We had a regular old winner win, and it was completely bone dry, and it was all those things. And actually, that's pretty much false. We had everything under the book there. we moved it to Monday because of rain. And then on Monday there was rain. So we finally got our start that we were looking for after even more delays Monday. And it was just as eventful as a normal Talladega race, only about maybe, what would you say, 80 laps shorter, I think, something like that.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
But you had quite the interesting finish. Obviously, the first wreck that you had was Justin Allgaier getting rear-ended by a Chevy teammate, and obviously those pointy noses of the Camaros are not very good for pushing, and that sent him into Kyle Larson, which absolutely destroyed his car. I mean, it didn't really destroy his car, but it obviously knocked the toe out, and then obviously he had other issues as far as tires going down and destroying some of his paneling. So that hampered Kyle Larson. He ended up finishing 37th, a couple laps down, and as well as Justin Allgaier. And then, at the end of stage one, everyone was pretty, obviously that happened at the end of stage one, but everyone was calm up until then. And then after stage one ended, it was pretty much a fight for who was going to take the lead. We had a little bit of rain, a little bit of a delay. I want to say maybe like 10 minutes. And then I got back in the cars and took off. And you could really tell that the intensity was growing, and so was the racing. People were definitely dive bombing and blocking and trying to get pushes to the lead. And that's when we ended up with our second wreck of the day, I believe, with Alex Bowman, Tyler Reddick, and a couple other ones as well. So some playoff drivers having playoff implications. Both the Hendrick drivers are below the cutoff line now. And I'm sorry, Alex Bowman and later William Byron both are now out of the playoffs because of two separate wrecks. Matt DiBenedetto was also collected into it. And that wreck actually, towards the end, actually ended up concluding the race. So definitely a lot of action packed into a short amount of time, and we had our first time winner in Bubba Wallace. Very impressive from him, but I don't think it's as impressive as both Anthony Alfredo's first top 10 in a front row racing car, as well as I believe it is first top 20 for Quinn Hoff. So that's something that he could get a banner made for himself
for his career, yeah,
and hang it as Starcom is going to conclude their racing program at the end of this year. So good for them, good for Bubba Wallace. It was only a matter of time, and it sucks for some of the playoff drivers and Matt DiBenedetto that they got wrecked out. I really would have rather seen a full race. I'm sure all the fans also wanted to see that as well, but obviously it just wasn't meant to be, and hopefully we'll get to see a full one next year. So that was the Cup race. I don't know if I missed anything. Obviously, there was a lot of pushing and shoving and craziness happening in the last couple laps. I thought we were going to see more wrecks than what we were going to, or what we actually saw, but we didn't. And only a couple cars were actually collected towards the end. So I think now we're going to move on to the racing news. Unless you had something, Aaron.
I was going to add that we probably didn't see as much chaos in this Talladega race as we did because it was rain shortened. I think everyone was kind of buying their time for stage 3, which never really came. So,
I mean, as soon as we got that rain delay for the drops in turn 1 and everything else was sunny, I think after that, the drivers were really like, this is a lot closer than what we thought, and they kind of took off. But yeah, like you said, we didn't see the big pileups, which is kind of unusual, especially with all the big fighting towards the end. But I really think that the Chevys need to figure something out as far as their noses go, because not only most of the time they're taking themselves out, as was the case with most of these wrecks that happened.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you're also knocking people out of line, knocking people out of line for, that are other manufacturers as well. I think the Fords worked really well together this past weekend. It was evident with how many laps they ended up leading, I believe. And and the Chevys just didn't have the push that they needed to be because they had to stay off the back bumpers. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully this new car will kind of resolve those issues for plate racing next year.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I think this is I think the second or third race with the new package that they're probably going to utilize for next season. It obviously brings a lot with the fans, or at least the ratings with the fans. They love them apparently. But I know several instances drivers are definitely having issues with driving, as far as it's not fun to drive. It might be fun to watch, but it's definitely not fun to drive. So hopefully they take in consideration and make some adjustments for next season, because I really do want to see more of the action. And that doesn't necessarily mean more wrecks, but I want to be able to see people pushing, and I love tandem drafting, like the old days. But that's just me. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of tandem drafting, but I just want to see kind of the huge packs of like the early 2000s and the 90s.
That too.
I want those back. But anyway, moving on to NASCAR news with Anchorman Zach. Zach, take us away.
Yeah, so unfortunately, our first news story is kind of somber. I don't know if many of you guys know, but John West Townley was a former Truck Series driver, was killed in what appeared to be a domestic assault altercation. So our hearts go out to those families, and as the investigation goes on, we'll learn more about it. And obviously, it's kind of it shocked me, because I rooted for Townley when he was racing racing in the Truck Series, and always thought, I always rooted for him, and I hope that I just hope that their families are going to get through this, and we'll definitely see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Moving on, there is a rumor that Tony Stewart has interest with Ford backing to field former IndyCar and as well as other SRX series driver Marco Andretti in a NASCAR Xfinity Series race for 2022. It's not 100% confirmed, obviously, but this would be very, very interesting and very, very important for the series. I think to have an Andretti racing in NASCAR again would be absolutely amazing. And I think that he would have a real shot at potentially winning some of these races as well. And it doesn't necessarily have to be at road courses. I think Marco proved himself well at some of the shorter ovals in the SRX series. And like I said, I think this would be super exciting if they could get this done. And I would definitely tune in to the Xfinity Series more if Marco was racing in those. So what do you think?
I think it's a very interesting move by Stewart. I mean, it would be fun to see an Andretti back in NASCAR. I mean, of course, the Andretti family is synonymous in just about anything motorsport related.
Yeah.
Very famous family, but I don't know. I think it'd be very interesting to see Marco Andretti kind of, I believe, back in NASCAR. I'm not sure if he made a start. I know there was an Andretti kind of back in 2008, 2009, somewhere around there.
John Andretti.
I'm sorry?
John Andretti.
John Andretti, that's it. But yeah, I mean, honestly, why not? Just give Marco a shot, see what happens. I mean, especially with Ford and Tony Stewart backing him. I mean, I think it's gonna be a very good match in heaven for him for next season if that is true. And so I'd love to see it. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, I think it would be fun to see, and like I said, I think that guy can wheel anything, pretty much anything. I don't necessarily think he would be competitive out the gate, but it would be nice to see.
Definitely.
Moving on, another thing, teams expect practice and qualifying in Cup next year. It sounds like NASCAR is leaning towards a short 20 to 30 minute practice with no adjustments allowed, and then straight into qualifying. That way we get qualifying for some of these races, as well as maybe a little short practice session as well for people to learn the track. So I think that's a step up. I think they, because of COVID, it really just messed up a lot of things. And I think it would be, I think NASCAR is trying to take it easy with that. However, I do think that, if you're going to do qualifying, you're going to do practice, you might as well, try and do as much as you can. I would love to see a full practice session with adjustments, in order for people to kind of tune in their cars. But yeah, we'll just have to see what happens. I definitely like the idea of qualifying, because there are going to be times where like Kyle Larson got wrecked out early and he finished way down the order, and he's going to get a really crappy pit stall for the Roval. So I think maybe not, because he's a playoff driver. Well, anyway, I don't know, but yeah, it's those kinds of things and that we're really missing, especially during this time of playoff racing. So, what do you think?
I mean, I'm all for getting practice and qualifying back. I mean, personally, as an NASCAR fan, I miss kind of rushing home on like a Friday afternoon and watching practice and watching qualifying go down. And I miss that as a fan, but I think as for a driver and as a team, I miss practice just because, every track is going to be different. Every track is going to be under different circumstances from day to day, even hour to hour. And so I think going in blind has kind of hurt some of these teams and has kind of, in effect, has really hurt most of these teams. And so I would love to see kind of like an old-fashioned qualifying setup. The fastest car on the track gets the pole. It's none of this kind of arbitrary, scientific equation system that happens, which looks like to be the best guy on the, in the race is on the pole for next week.
Mm-hmm.
And there's really none of that. But, it truly is, the fastest guy with the fastest setup is going to be on pole. And to me, I think that's I guess probably the best way to do it if you're a race car driver, to me. And so I have no problem with them bringing it back, but the no adjustments thing, that's a little worrisome to me. I'm not sure why they're going with no adjustments. It is a brand new car, you kind of want to find out what that car can do, kind of where the limits are. So I would imagine you want them to, make adjustments to kind of find out those limits early before you go into a race and potentially, lose points and lose spots for a championship run. But I don't know, that part is not really, rubbing me the right way.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see what actually happens. I mean, like I said, this isn't confirmed, but it's definitely something that they're looking towards for next season. So who knows? But it sounds like a good start with adding qualifying. So.
And then we got Mike Horror in the comments saying this way they won't have to run a second inspection.
Yeah.
That's true. Yep. Awesome insight there, Mike. Always glad to have you around to bring some insight and correct our mistakes. So.
Yeah, but we were kind of dry in the news section this week, so I think that's all we got. Let's go into the who's hot, who's not for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't get paid enough. I haven't heard about John Westholen's death. Yes, we just covered that. Very, very sad story to hear about that. I was a little bit of a fan of John West Townley, but this is it's kind of a really sad story, and to kind of see kind of where he ended up. So yeah. Unfortunately, we did hear about it, and so we sort of pray for the families. And so now we will get into who is hot and who is not. Zach, do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
I'll go first.
Right.
So my picks for this week as to who's hot, I'm gonna say the underdogs. There were several drivers this week. We had 3 new winners. I'm not necessarily gonna call Bubba Wallace an underdog, but definitely, I mean, to a certain extent, an underdog as far as I don't necessarily think that a lot of people thought that he was going to get a win this season, maybe. But it comes so late, it truly was kind of based off of his experience and results all season. It just kind of was a kind of unexpected result. So, definitely Brandon Brown and Tate Fogelman, just a wonderful trio of winners this past weekend, and that just shows you that I think there was like 3 first-time winners or 3 new winners the past 3 seasons at Talladega in the Truck Series at least. So it just goes to show you that it's pretty much anybody's race still at Talladega, and it can be a mess. As far as who's not, I'm going to say Matt DiBenedetto. Unfortunately, I think this was his last realistic shot at potentially winning, and just the cards were not in his favor. They had a fast car, led laps up front early, and tried to hang back and stay back because the rain was coming. Or I'm sorry, because of the typically as cautions. I think they tweeted out, 10 out of the 11 past stage ones have all had cautions. So they played that strategy right, because Kyle Larson ended up getting taken out. But, ultimately they weren't in a position to win there at the end, and then obviously got taken out. So definitely not fun for him. And, I think the options are very bleak for him, even as far as like an Xfinity Series ride. So who knows what he'll be doing next season. And it's just unfortunate. I think everyone wanted to see him get a win. But ultimately it wasn't in the cards for him. And although there are a couple races left, we'll see what happens. But like I said, I think this was his last realistic shot. But he may surprise us. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Great pick, Zach. So for my who's hot this week, I'm going to go with Kevin Harvick, since both you and Tom, I will do his picks this week. Before he had to bail out, he gave us his picks for this week. So I'll try not to kind of go with that. I'll go with Kevin Harvick this week. The man who we said earlier this season that he was having a very down year. Apparently, he has found some spark in his step, or some pep in his step. The last 6 races, 2 top 5s and 5 top 10s. For Mr. Where did he come from? And so he may be making a charge late for that for that cup. We will see. And so for my who's not this week, I'm gonna go Alex Bowman. I mean, he needs a miracle at the Roval in order to advance. Him and William Byron both. As we look at the kind of point standings here, if you are named Byron and Bowman, it ain't good. Minus 44 for Byron, minus 52 for Bowman. I mean, they're pretty much done. Christopher Bell minus 28. He ain't good. But yeah, I mean, right now not good for the.
You said Bell is minus 28.
Yes. So Christopher Bell is minus 28.
Yeah, those 3 are.
Yeah, they're
probably done.
They're done
for sure. But who knows?
Anyway, it was a good run for them both. And so for Tom's pick this week, just to make him feel included, for his who's hot this week, first time winners. I believe this is the first time in NASCAR's history that we saw 3 new winners in one weekend at the same track. And so a monument. Honestly, last weekend was just a very historic weekend on so many levels. I mean, of course, the 3 first-time winners, the first African American driver to win since Wendell Scott in, I believe, 1960s, I believe, in the 1950s,
Yeah.
and of course it was McDonald's first win since 1994 as a primary sponsor on the car, and so they finally snapped that streak. And so it was just a lot of history making moments that weekend. And as a fan, I think it was just a weekend that we will kind of look back on and fondly. And so for Tom's Who's Not this week, he's gonna go Hendrick Motorsports. Pretty much, I'm riding his little bandwagon here. Byron and Bowman crashing out, pretty much the same as me. And sad to say 1963. That sounds right. I'll have to double check my notes, but
I do know the track. It was Jacksonville. It was in Jacksonville, Florida. So
Jacksonville, Florida. All right. So historian Zach also here,
yeah.
And actually I believe that was the 23 car's first win in a very long time. So lots of things being broken here.
It was the highest finish for the number 68 car. Previously, 10th place was its highest finish in the Xfinity Series.
Oh, wow.
And then I forget about Tate Fogelman, but it's such a high number. I think it's been used before. I think it was 13. I don't know. 14.
The 12 truck, I think.
It was one of those. But it was a high number, so it's probably been used before, but I don't have any interesting facts on that one.
So probably next week I'm sure we'll find something like that.
Oh, I do have an interesting fact actually on Tate Fogelman.
Okay.
His father, I forget something Fogelman, drove the 68 car in the Xfinity Series and actually got the 10th place finish for the highest finish for the 68 car in the Xfinity Series to date until Brandon Brown finished first this past weekend. So it was kind of
pieces fitting in this week.
Interesting combo there.
Absolutely. A lot of interesting combos this week. And so now we will move on to, I guess, one of my favorite segments, green flag, red flag.
Heck yes.
Where this week we'll make 3 statements instead of 4 to 5. And if you are new here, green flag means you agree with the statement. Red flag means you disagree with the statement. And so, Zach, green flag, red flag, number 1. In the Xfinity and Cup race, time was on the mind of every NASCAR fan after the race being shortened due to both rain and nightfall. And so, should Talladega add lights to the track in case of a rain situation like we had this past weekend? Green or red flag for you?
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to say green flag, but I will say it's probably not reasonable. It's just too big. I mean, Daytona's big, but Talladega is even bigger. So I think it would be not realistic, but I would love to see them add lights. I would love to see a night race at Talladega. I think that would be amazing.
I would too.
I mean, it's so much bigger. It's wider, so much bigger and everything. So I would love to see it. But yeah, I think they should green flag for sure. What about yourself?
Well, I'm gonna go with a quote from Joe Bonamassa. Just because you can don't mean you should. And so I'm gonna go red flag here. I mean, to me, this is a very good a reincarnation of the New Hampshire weekend, where it rained for about an hour, and NASCAR had to basically cut the race short due to nightfall. And then I believe on that podcast we discussed about kind of the pros and cons of adding lights, and I believe one of the cons we discussed was the cost. I mean, it takes a lot of lights and a lot of money to kind of put lights around the track and to keep them going, to keep them maintained. But that's for like a 1.5 mile oval. This is 2.66 miles. That's going to take a lot of money, a lot of resources, and if we're questioning it for New Hampshire, we are not going to do it for Talladega. And so I think to combat this, they should kind of like bump up the race if they're expecting rain. But
Start the races earlier.
Thank you. Start the races earlier. So,
I'm a full
but yeah, I mean,
proponent for
really, that's my remedy for anyone saying they should put lights on there. No, they shouldn't. Even though it'd be awesome,
I would love to
shouldn't.
see a night race, though. I don't want to see them used as far as like, I don't know. If they can get the whole race in without using them, that'd be great too. But like, I wouldn't mind seeing a night race at Talladega.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be financially feasible in order to get it done.
No. But honestly, what they could do is take every fan's car and kind of like line it up on the and just like line it up around the track and put the headlights on and put the brights on. And maybe that'd be an easy solution.
Maybe. I feel like they would have like a direct line inside the cockpit there going up, angling up.
I mean, hey, I don't know. It's an idea. It's an idea.
Well, I know. We should point them at them. So that way they get blinded as they drive.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it'll be a lot more interesting.
Uh-huh.
Alrighty. So green flag, red flag number 2. With 3 first-time winners this weekend, unseen by NASCAR in its entire history. Will we see another first-time winner before the season is out?
In any series?
In any series.
I mean, I'm going to... I'm going to say red flag. I don't think we do.
Okay.
What about you?
I'm going to say green flag just because there are still several races to be run yet, and if this season has taught us anything can happen. Anybody can win damn near anywhere. And so I think we'll have maybe one more first time winner before the season is out. Where that will come, I don't know. But
Roval? I'm hoping for rain.
I mean, rain's always a possibility, but I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm betting on yes, but I don't know.
They got lights.
They do have lights, but I don't think honestly, like a nighttime road course race, that would be fun to see. That would be a lot of fun to see.
That'd be kind of like 24 hours of Daytona, but with NASCARs.
But Charlotte, ooh. NASCAR. Okay, if you ever do this, we thought of it first.
Yeah.
We thought of it first, so credit us when you do it.
Give us some credit. You don't have to give us money. You just have to give us credit.
All right, so we got Sav telling us that Fogelman was in the 12th truck. Thank you for your correction. But then we got Mike again down here saying Phoenix might be the place where a first-time winner is at. Now we're saying in truck, Xfinity, Cup, or what, Mike? What are you trying to say there, bud? But anyway, we'll get to our final green flag, red flag question. And of course, as we alluded to earlier, Bubba Wallace, the first African-American NASCAR driver to win at the highest series of NASCAR for the first time since 1963 by Wendell Scott. While Bubba's first win was historical and monumental, not to just the history of NASCAR, but just to him as a person for dealing with, can he win this level? Is he, will he ever win a race? While that monkey's finally off his back, he can say that he is a Cup winner. Does this win diminish because it was a rain shortened race and at a super speedway?
I think very highly of Bubba. I think that the team. I think very highly of Bubba. I think he's very talented. But honestly, I think that in a certain extent, I think it will be diminished. Not that it should be. I think that it will be. Just because if you look based off of previous finishes for some of the, if you exclude Michael McDowell this past year and winning the Daytona 500, you also see, you have some of the previous winners that won one-off races, like Justin Haley and Chris Buescher. And history really hasn't treated them very kindly as far as, not a lot of people recognize those wins. They forgot. So I think this one, I feel like this one, I don't feel like it should be tainted or diminished. I think that this should be considered a valid win because he did everything he could to get the win. He had to make some blocks. He had to make the moves in order to get into the lead. So I very well think that this should be 100% considered a win and not tainted. But I really think that history isn't necessarily, I mean, maybe because there's a lot of media coverage on it. Maybe it won't. But I think that there's a chance that it could be, for sure. Sorry, I know that's not really a green flag, red flag, but that's how I feel on that.
So you're saying red flag, but there's always a possibility.
Yeah. I mean, I have seen people diminish it online right now. So there's a lot of hate and a lot of it's very polarized right now. And I'm not going to get into it, and I don't want to, but I'm just saying that, in my opinion, it should not be tainted or diminished based off of the rain shortened race, because there has been very many rain shortened races, and I don't think anybody was taking away Chase Elliott's win from Coda this past this season. So I don't think we should do it here either.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to go a red flag. I mean, a win. I mean, they always say in racing, a win is a win, no matter how you get it. It can be through, it can be through normal means. It can be through rain. It can be through nightfall. I mean, as long as your car is in first place when the sanctioning body says, all right, we're done with the race, it's over, then congratulations, you get the win. And, luck always plays a part in races. I mean, hell, in 2000, I believe, 10 or 11 or so, there was rain in Pocono, and the top 5 cars just crashed out, and Jeff Gordon got the win. Got the win in a rain shortened race, but no one's really saying that, hey, it was rain shortened race, so he doesn't deserve the win. No one's really saying that anymore. I mean, there have been plenty of drivers that won rain shortened races, like Chase Elliott. Like that, it just so happened to be at a super speedway track.
Also, Justin Haley, I would consider also Pocono to kind of not be a super speedway, but it's a very big track. With Chris Buescher's win, and then also Eric Almirola's first win, Daytona. That was also rain shortened as well. So, but
yeah, absolutely. And really, I think Tom said it best here as he is tuning in from beyond the studio here. Luck plays a part at any super speedway race, but it doesn't diminish his win any more than any super speedway or rain shortened race. Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely. I mean, think, before the rain came, he was holding on the pack for a few laps. He was making moves to defend this spot. He was moving, he made blocks, it's a high line, the low line. He put his car out front, and he drove from the pack. He drove his way from the back of the pack into the front. So why should that win be diminished? I mean, he won the race outright, in my opinion. I mean, NASCAR called the caution just because there were no lights at the track. It was getting dark, and it was too wet to race. So he won fair and square, in my opinion. And so, with that said, that's inclusion of green flag or red flag. I believe we're going to go ahead and go into fan interaction this week. And so, fans, in the comments, if you have any questions that you want me or Zach to answer, then go ahead and put them in now. We'll do our best to answer them. If I can get the thing here. There we go. There we go. And we'll see. Let's see. So, what kind of questions y'all got for us? Also, Mike, no, you cannot do that. No. Is green flag or red flag, brother? There's no yellow flag. Don't be on the fence. Come on now. You know this. You know that, brother. Come on. All right, guys, come on. So get your questions in. Get any sort of talking points inside of conversations you want to talk about, whether it be NASCAR in real life or the new game coming out. What shall it be?
Man, maybe nobody has any questions for us this week.
Actually, so do we? Oh, here we go. From Mike Hora. With the loss of Starcom and soon to be Front Row, how does the landscape for next year look? Of course, we know that Starcom is going to be out at the end of the season anyway. I have not heard anything about Front Row going to 2311. There have been a lot of rumors circulating, but from what I have heard, they have not officially said we're going to merge with 2311. Zach, have you heard anything about that?
I was just looking it up because I was very interested. There has been a very distant rumor as far as that goes. I don't see it. I mean, the new car is going to be very competitive. And I think as long as they have the sponsorship in order to run, I think they will. I would sure as heck like to see them continue. I think a more realistic option might be a Rick Ware Racing charter going to 2311. But who knows? And honestly, we're not really missing much with Starcom. I have a tumultuous relationship with them anyway. But, I did like them when they had Landon Castle running for them. And then, obviously, I don't know what happened there. They were actually good, and then they went from decent back markers to absolutely terrible in a matter of a year. And so I don't really think we're missing much with a 40th place car riding around in the back. I did like their paint schemes, but overall, that's going to be better for who's getting the charter. I think Spire is getting the charter, so maybe they're starting a second team. Or maybe they'll lease it out to another team as well. So who knows? I know they had plans to run Corey LaJoy full time, so maybe they're going to start up the 77 again before they leased out. They did lease out that other charter or sell it either way. I believe to Trackhouse. So who knows?
Actually, according to jski.com, it looks like, according to them, Front Row may lose their charter out to 223XI, which I believe kind of sparked the rumor.
Okay.
About that.
Lease out like the 38 charter, probably.
I believe so.
Yeah, who knows? They're already having sponsorship, or they're already having funding issues. I mean, they do have sponsors, but they are having funding issues for that 38, and that's why they brought in Anthony Alfredo, because he brought a little bit of money to the team.
Yeah.
And obviously that really hasn't worked out. He got his first top 10 this season at Talladega, so I really don't know. I don't know where that leaves them. Obviously, I think maybe focusing on one car for the next gen car is going to be a little bit better for them. Plus, they'll have a little bit of cash coming in from 2311. But if they stay at two cars, I think that they get a decent driver in the second one. A veteran maybe. That would probably suit them better than having some. I love Anthony Alfredo, but he definitely has not been the best driver this past season for the 38. When you compare it to, when you compare it to what John Hunter was able to do, and then even what Michael McDowell was able to do in that car as well. So,
yeah,
who knows? But yep, that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, so we got a question from Sav. Do you believe in Rick Ware racing supremacy?
No.
I gotta say, after this weekend, they might be promising. I may need to bow down to our Rick Ware racing supremacy, to our overlords. They were actually able to lead and actually be in the top 15 for a little while. So
stop it. Stop. Get some help.
Pretty much, Sav. Please stop doing drugs, please.
This is like the third week in a row you've been doing drugs. No, but
this time I'm pretty sure we're all doing drugs because they were leading at one point.
Take a picture. It'll last longer.
Yeah, God help us. Yeah, God help us all. And I believe this will be our last question for the.
Wait, you never got me to say that. I was just going to say something. Hold on. Rick Ware Racing, they're expanding into different series. They're, I believe, going to take over a 2-car team in IndyCar. That's actually going to be pretty competitive, I think. And then obviously they have some of their touring car and other types of series that they race in. So they're definitely expanding. I feel like NASCAR is their least quality program, and so maybe hopefully the new next gen car will be able to maybe up their performance, because I hate seeing cars constantly lapped every single race. It really sucks.
Yeah, every single race crashed out with zero hope,
crashing themselves out if they're not already crashed out. Engine issues, tires.
Yeah, road to me is just kind of, why are you even there?
Yeah.
To me, I mean,
brakes exploding and cars going into the wall.
Yeah. But all right, for our last question for fan interaction, do you think 23XI is expanding too quickly? I mean, if the funding's there, then why not go for it? Of course, there's later. Of course, it was released this week. Well, not this week, but many moons ago, that Kurt Busch was going to sign with 23XI and bring his Monster Energy sponsorship with him. Of course, Monster Energy being a huge sponsor in every single avenue of motorsports. So I mean, honestly, why not try a second car, see what you got? Really can't really hurt you too much. So I don't think so, especially with that backing. Of course, always bringing a veteran like Kurt Busch is always good for a team to, of course, bring in bring in a new, I guess not a fresh set of eyes, but a more experienced set of eyes to kind of really get the team on the right path for these, the short tracks, for these new, I guess the intermediate tracks, the road courses, and we're kind of bringing their expertise. So I don't think they're spending too quickly with this one, especially with that financial backing. Zach, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, they really need to find that second charter. I think that's like the main thing that they don't. One of the main things that they don't need to worry about right now. But they are, because they don't have it. They need to find that second charter. We saw this issue last season where, less than 6 months before the season started, they were just announcing that they were going to run the Daytona 500, and it didn't seem like they were prepared coming into it at all. Obviously they lack speed that we saw through the beginning portions of the season. And, I don't know if the same thing is going to happen this season, but obviously they're really late with a lot of their announcements, and I know they've been hiring a lot of employees, so I think they'll have the necessary personnel. But it doesn't seem like last minute, but it definitely seems like it's coming together. It seems a little bit late. I could be wrong, but just basing it off of this past season, they didn't have the first car ready for Daytona. Why do you think they're going to have 2 cars ready now, especially with the next gen car? I guess they don't have to build it and do it themselves, but even then, but we'll see. I think 2 cars is going to be good, just so they can vary their strategies. We see that a lot in F1 and IndyCar, where they vary their strategies. And so that way they get 1 car up front and maybe sacrifice the other car. So that way they get to see and work with each other. And I think Kurt Busch is a really good veteran driver. He knows how to set up cars. He knows how to do things. So I think that he's going to benefit 2311 for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Sav coming in here with Alfredo moved up too quick. That's certainly a possibility. I mean, I don't think he was in the Xfinity series for too long before he moved up to before he was moved up to Cup. And so
I think he spent his part-time ride in with RCR and Xfinity. So
he was part-time before he got a full-time Cup ride.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that was mainly because he brought funding. So
yeah. So that's definitely a possibility. It just moved up way too quick. And of course, Sean is agreeing with us both. I believe Kurt is the right guy. Absolutely, Sean. Appreciate you tuning in, brother. But unfortunately, we have come to the white flag, the last segment for tonight, and so this is a segment where we share our thoughts about NASCAR, about sports, about just general life things. And so, Zach, what is your white flag for tonight?
Yeah, I really didn't prepare for this. I just enjoyed being here. Sorry I took off last week. I know it's unacceptable. I'm sorry, Sav. But I'm glad to be back and thank you for having me again. I mean, I know Tom's not here, but thank you for having me, Aaron.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It is not a podcast. It's not a true podcast without you here.
I appreciate it. That means that this is technically episode 16 then.
Technically episode 15. You're off too.
Okay. Fair enough.
I don't want to get real technical about it. But anyway, I guess for my white flag is that, I think I said this earlier in the podcast, but I think we will all look back on this weekend and think what a wild weekend that was. Because again, of course, the first weekend where we saw 3 first-time winners at one track, granted was Talladega, but hey, I mean, at that place anything can happen. And so, and I believe this week we did really see anything can happen. I mean, we saw a fantastic finish with the Truck Series. We saw kind of a delayed race or a night shortened race, and then we saw a rain shortened race at Talladega. So it's really the best and worst of the NASCAR world. But really, I think this weekend was just an incredible weekend to kind of look back and to kind of watch as a NASCAR fan, and really as a historian too, because so many historical breakthroughs happened this weekend, and so I just can't wait for next weekend.
Me too.
This weekend at the Roval, so it's going to be even more chaotic, I think.
Always love road courses. I'm hoping and praying for rain. I'm going to be doing my rain dance here in Charlotte.
Well, not too much. So
I
anyway,
thought last season the races there were really interesting. Track flooded.
Oh, that's wonderful. Right, it did, didn't it?
It was wonderful.
I'm not sure really like the Roval or hate the Roval if you're wanting it to flood again.
I like chaos.
Oh, so do we all. That's why we're NASCAR fans.
Yes.
But anyway, that will do it for this episode of the Loose on Nuts podcast. And so we want to thank you all for tuning in tonight, and we will hope our normal broadcaster Turbo Tom will be back next week with us, because Dadgummit is on a podcast without him either. And so we hope you all will tune in next week at 9 o'clock, same time, same place. And so hopefully we will brief you in on another exciting Loose on Us podcast from the Charlotte Roval. Yes. Take care, have fun, and y'all guys be safe.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.